A new series called Love and Respect, and the book is also called Love and Respect. And it's going to be based on this chapter in the Bible. And then the basic idea is that actually, let's read the verse first, and then I'll give you guys kind of the thesis of the book as well. All right, this is from Ephesians chapter 5. I'll just read all of it. Wives, okay, so all the ladies in here, submit yourselves to your own husbands. Amen. As you
So we all love this one.
Amen. Okay. Right, Genesis?
Yeah.
As you do to the Lord. Okay, this is the Bible. This is the holy word of God. No, I'm just
And I
kidding.
think she's had
Okay.
that issue since the beginning.
For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church. Okay. Second part. And by the way, throughout the whole series, we're going to come back to this. Okay, but this is like the main Bible verse that this whole book is based upon. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. And this is how he ends like this whole section. It seems like this is his like summary, okay? It says this, each of you is talking to the husbands, must also must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. So this whole book is based on, again, this verse, and the thesis is basically all of us obviously want love and respect, but he believes that maybe perhaps the Bible teaches us to specifically for the women to respect their husband, and for husbands or the men to love because that's their primary love language. Okay, again, this book is not by no means saying only all the love goes to women and all the respect just goes to men, but that's how that's the big part of how they are filled with respect for men, and then for women, love. Okay. By the way, if some of you guys have a problem with this word submit, then don't worry, because a lot of people who use this Bible verse to like oppress women and be like, hey, I'm your husband, they actually don't read the verse before, which actually says, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Okay? So that totally changes up everything, okay? So please do not use this to just say to the woman, submit. Okay? It actually says to... No, you do. Exactly. But they actually don't read, anything taken out of context, you can use it for your own advantage. We don't want to do that. Okay. This book itself is written for married people. Okay? But obviously a lot of you guys are not married, and that's okay. And obviously I wouldn't have brought this if it was just applicable for married people. But I believe this is applicable for just male-female relationship, just in general. Okay? So when you see husband and wives in there, just take it out for maybe if you guys are in a relationship, boyfriend and girlfriend. Even if you're not, just think about your past relationships and things like that. Okay? Just the dynamic between the genders. Okay? All right, we're going to go over the crazy cycle.
As a pastor, I counseled married couples and could not solve their problems. The major problem I heard from wives was, he doesn't love me. Wives are made to love, want to love, and expect love. Many husbands failed to deliver, but as I kept studying scripture and counseling couples, I finally saw the other half of the equation.
Very nice. Next, Luis.
Husbands weren't saying it much, but they were thinking, she doesn't respect me. Husbands are made to be respected, want respect, and expect respect. Many wives fail to deliver. The result is that 5 out of 10 marriages land in divorce court.
Okay, so again, he's saying the primary love language for the female, they want love. And they feel like their husbands are, or again, the counterpart, they're not loving them enough. And on the other side, the husbands, they always feel like the wives are not respecting them enough. They're dishonoring them or criticizing them and not honoring them. Let's keep going.
The insight that I finally recognized in Ephesians 5, and which I later confirmed from reading scientific research, explained why Sarah, my wife, and I would get into our arguments. I finally saw very clearly why Sarah could be crushed by my words and actions, just as my mom had been crushed by my dad. And Sarah could say things that would send me through the roof, just as my mom had said things that would send my dad through the roof.
Okay, Jason.
As I wrestled with the problem, I finally saw a connection. Without love from him, she reacts without respect. Without respect from her, he reacts without love. And around and around it goes. I call it the crazy cycle.
Okay, so he came up with this very cute, well, I don't know about cute, but this illustration. Okay, so let's say the husband doesn't love. Okay, then she's gonna react. And how is she gonna react? She's gonna treat him without respect. Okay, and then when she doesn't respect him, what's gonna happen? He reacts, and he's not gonna show her love. And so this just goes around and around, and that's how like a lot of fights happen. Okay, I'm gonna give you an example of this, and then we'll see whether you guys could resonate with this, agree with this, or not. Okay, go ahead.
A couple was about to celebrate the 10th wedding anniversary, and the wife began to wonder if her husband would remember. There had been plenty of times during the past decade when he had forgotten their anniversary altogether. However, on this day, he remembers. He goes to Hallmark, and one colorful card quickly catches his eye. He skims the words, "They are perfect." He thinks she's going to love it.
Okay, so 10-year anniversary, he remembers. Okay, he gets her something. Okay, let's keep going.
She's there when he arrives at home, so he sneaks the card into another room. Saisei quickly writes her name on the envelope. He then adds a couple of tiny hearts over her name as the extra touch. Comes out again. It's like her 10th anniversary card. She beams from year to year. She's so happy finally he has remembered. She tears open the card and begins to read, and her face falls. She sighs and says, "It's not bad, except it's a birthday card." Wife's very real anger. He knows he is full of goodwill. He has bought her a present as well as a card. Well, honey, I made an honest mistake again.
Okay, so do you guys see what happened? So he just saw the card, and he's like, "Oh, this is a really nice card," but he didn't like see it carefully. It was actually a birthday card.
He skimmed through it.
Okay, he kind of skimmed through it.
Yeah.
Okay, and so she sees it, and she's like, "What the heck? This is a birthday card." Okay, let's keep going.
Wife, give you a break. It's because you just don't care. You wouldn't have made a mistake if you took your precious car in for repair. Why? Because you care about it. But you don't care about our anniversary. You don't care about me. Husband, you know what? The way you're talking, I'm glad I got you a birthday card for your anniversary. The night has gone from a wonderful romantic evening together to stomping to the opposite ends of the house.
Okay. Luis is like, yeah. He's like, I've been there. Okay, so this is an example of this idea that, again, going back to the crazy cycle. Okay, she didn't feel like he loves her. Okay, she felt like if you love me, that you wouldn't have got me something. You wouldn't have been so careless. And so therefore, according to the study, she shows disrespect to him. Okay, and most of the guys in here probably would say, "Yep, that was very disrespectful." Okay, the way she said things. Okay, and then so again, he reacts without love again, doesn't say sorry, and then just lashes back on her, and just the cycle just goes on and on and on. So that's an example of that. Okay, so let's go back to our groups, and then Jason, you could join this group right there. You guys agree, disagree so far with the premise? We're gonna go obviously more into it, but what do you think just so far? Go for it.
He should have been more thoughtful.
Yeah, I mean, either or, like, it's just more like. It sounds like it's just like making it, but like, that's not even matter. I was just kind of expressing her feeling.
Like she said,
So now you know. But did I forget? Be negative. Even after the worst of like someone with the
if she was too late now.
Anyway, it makes
They
sense.
would have said-
It makes
Like,
sense.
you wouldn't have said anything.
But yes,
And
or-
it's
I
like,
never
I appreciate the thought that you got the card, however. I respect that you got the card, however.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I would have appreciated, like,
Maybe,
Maybe.
maybe a workaround,
When
yeah.
I don't get respect,
De-escalated,
even
but.
and then you think he really doesn't love it, like,
They're already
was that
reacting to
indication?
that.
A lot of times we tend to show.
Like he was just going through
They
the, I think
just
when that
react.
moment of
And-
emotion.
and-
I said, oh, I remember the anniversary, I gotta get
We
it.
don't
So
necessarily
he went through the
expect
motions, but he didn't
love,
go
per se, we expect
all the way to
respect, and so
You didn't think about it too much.
because
He
we
would
show
really
what we
feel it.
expect, we show
Maybe
a lot
for
of
his
respect.
wife to feel it.
No, we forget to show love.
Or maybe he didn't mean it.
So would you
And
agree
yeah,
with
same
that?
goes for the other person. The other person, so she will,
I think it's just
she
a
expects
big
love,
Okay.
It's
not
interesting.
necessarily
It's
respect.
like,
Well, yeah.
it's also like,
Of course,
how
but
does
like,
he
she should
show
also
love?
show-
We just
show
started
Everybody has
taking a
different
series.
love
but
It's
languages.
called
maybe not
Love
respect
Respect.
as much.
He
It's
shows
said
love
for
for
married
also.
couples.
So it's a very intentional, like, you have to think about
as well. So we're just kind of talking a
what
little bit about
you're gonna show the other person.
the difference of love and respect and how it works in the cycle between
I mean, she was okay with just the car.
So that's kind of where we're at right now. But
Yeah,
disagree.
maybe the idea of the truth is
Concept
like,
of the circle.
he should put more effort into it, and she should have said, oh, it's so cute, like,
Words of love.
you're kind of a bride, but I still love you. Right, like, it's almost like you accept, like, he didn't go all the way, and then she could have said, like, that's okay.
I mean, she was excited about the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
in a sense, she opened it.
Yes, I agree, actually.
Like what then at that
So
point?
the,
I
I
think
think
there
that
are guys
this
out
one,
there that
like
actually
Sarah didn't
sometimes
say,
want to feel love
you don't
from their
respect me
spouses.
when she got the wrong car.
Yeah.
She said, you don't care about me, you don't belong to
girls'
this
point
car.
of view.
So how is
The girls'
this
point of view, they would
directly
want more
goes
respect.
there?
Oh, okay, thanks.
The conclusion of love.
But I do think that they go hand in hand in America.
Maybe I guess that was probably one of the things that sounded more, I guess, disrespectful, because like assuming that he doesn't.
Yeah, the effort showed that he thought about it,
Yeah.
he mis-executed it.
Yeah.
So he's like not like good at
No, 100, sorry.
doing what he wanted to do, like he's not good at like actually accomplishing what he wants to do.
Respect.
All right, 30 more seconds.
10% that.
Yeah, so
Maybe that
that's
is
it.
something on your part.
Yeah.
He made an effort to show he remembered the anniversary.
And so
He
she
made
still
an
went
effort.
after it and
He mis-executed, she said,
But I want to know when
you don't like me, and she was like, but he did all this stuff. So it's almost like they both are at fault here.
Kids may not be excused.
Like no one should give me, and say like, oh,
So what if she was really
I feel like both could have.
I'm sure she's hurt.
This is like years ago, but
But
that's
that's
like one of the
what
last things I know.
he could have, I think, apologized instead of saying like,
Yeah,
you're
Like, give me the sauce.
He could have said like,
It's not really about the
like,
sauce, it's
oh,
about.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's like, I
Because of
did
those
not
things,
see
that's
that,
what
or I just like, I just saw this part and I thought it was really nice. Like,
She
things
doesn't
were
love
like,
her.
you
He
know,
doesn't love her.
I thought you like.
All right.
Also, so.
I'm Hispanic at heart. Okay, let's come back together. Tracy, if you could read this next one for us.
Communication issues. Communication in marriage has been described, discussed, and dissected in thousands of books and articles. Why is communication between husbands and wives such a problem? It goes back to the fact that we send each other messages in code based on gender, even though we don't intend to. What I say is not what you hear, and what you think you heard is not what I meant at all. Let's see how this plays out at home as a couple is getting dressed to start the day. What does it mean for a female and a male when they say, I have nothing to wear?
Okay, I want you to go back. I want you to go back to your groups. Okay, as a male, what do you think it means? I have nothing to wear. And then for a female, what does it mean when females say, I have nothing to wear? Okay, go back.
I have nothing to wear or be, I'm gonna go severely underdressed.
Yeah. Oh,
Or it's also an excuse I don't want to go.
Depends on the occasion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I really like.
My
for example, like,
interpretation is this,
like a
is that you
cocktail
can't
party
decide
kind of thing. Like, I don't have
between
anything
like
for that.
the
So then,
veggies
yeah.
and
She gets something else,
I
like, I
think
have
it's
nothing to wear for
which
that.
means
Even though
There's
there's
no
no
response to be like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So a guy would like it.
and for
Yeah,
me,
like,
it's
usually
always
you said,
like,
Yeah, but like, you know, it's about dressing appropriately for the event you're going to.
Yeah, I agree
So.
with that.
But even
Or I don't
if
have that
I
set of
have
clothes appropriate
something
for that
appropriate
situation.
for the occasion, it's not something that I
That's
want to
what
wear
I'm saying.
today.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I would say, I have nothing to
It's more
wear.
like,
I
I think
I
the
don't
best example
like
is
how
like church.
this dress
You know,
is
so like
like
we
this
have
is-
church
Yeah,
girls.
exactly.
But they definitely do that.
Well, like, when you have
Like I feel like when guys
But
say
Yeah.
after you
it's
rotate
because
them.
literally
Yeah, I
your
don't feel like
a
it's
couple times.
appropriate for
That's
that.
when
Yeah.
the guys
Sorry,
swole 3
sorry.
times.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like, okay,
But
I gotta get
when
more.
you do it for
I'm already doing
Or
so many
like,
times.
Yeah.
you
Like,
get something like, oh,
So there's like an
okay, and
emotion.
I'm
then
gonna
you
show up
try
with
it
jeans
on
and a
and
t-shirt, like, I
Well,
have-
it's not
Like men
appropriate.
are
It's just
like,
not
I just
church
need something to
appropriate,
put
or
on
it's
my
not work
body, and women are
appropriate, or
more
it's like it's
emotional.
no, it's more like for a
Nothing to
formal
feel it.
occasion or something
Yeah,
like
in
that.
a way.
Yeah.
So I feel like
you just gotta wear
it,
pants.
it
Yeah, I
depends on the
think
occasion.
females say it like
It's just all
Like
the
for
time,
church,
it's
for
not
example,
for the
a
occasion.
nice shoes,
Declaration of,
pants,
like,
But that's just
aesthetic.
what I think when I say I have
That's
nothing
it.
to wear.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like
And you
I
can
wanna
just
wear
combine
colors.
whatever you have.
Right, like there's
Yeah.
nothing.
I had a strategy at work where
aesthetically
I only wear like a
satisfying.
navy blue suit and a white shirt.
Everything's matching your shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's come back. Let's come back together. All right, let's see. Let's see what males, let's learn what females mean when they say this. And then females, you guys can learn what guys are saying when they say this. Whose turn is it? Is it Lee's turn or is it Genesis? Go for it.
The female man, she has nothing new to wear. The male man, he has nothing clean. There is no serious danger of conflict here, but the nothing to wear line illustrates that we all see things out of our own needs and perceptions. In most cases, the issue that seems to be the cause of craziness is not the real issue at all.
Does that make sense? So they because they have a different need, they communicate differently as well. Okay, male and female. And so this is how, again, arguments, it's not a serious argument, but an argument could happen. A female are going to say, oh, I have nothing to wear. And then the guy see like 20 dresses and goes, what do you mean you got nothing to wear? Okay? Does that make sense? And so an argument happens. It's like, no, I bought you, why do you have to buy another dress? You have like 20 in there. Okay? And so again, it's this miscommunication happens. Okay? Let's keep going.
Just because you may feel unloved or disrespected does not mean your spouse is sending that message. When the wife felt unloved because she got a birthday card for her 10th anniversary, it did not mean that the husband was sending her a message saying, I really don't care about you or love you. At the same time, when his wife reacted in an angry and disrespectful way, that did not mean her message was, I don't respect you, but that's what's often heard.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so again, that's not what the message is sent across, but how, again, because of we're different gender and we have different needs, we hear things differently, even though they didn't send that our way. Okay, we're gonna go into this idea a little bit more. Pink and blue.
When the issue isn't the real issue, it is crucial to understand that one thing is going on in the spirit of the wife and an entirely different thing is going on in the spirit of the husband. Genesis chapter 1 to 2 tell us God created them male and female. What it underlines is that man and woman are very different. The way I like to picture the difference between man and woman is that the woman looks at the world through pink sunglasses that color all she sees. The man, however, looks at the world through blue sunglasses that color all he sees. So they can look at the same situation but see life much differently. On top of that, man and woman also have different colored hearing aids as well. Therefore, they hear things differently as well.
Does that make sense? So when we see things, we're gonna perceive it differently. When we hear things, somebody could, again, the whole going back to I have nothing new to wear. I have nothing to wear. Then again, as men, they're gonna hear things differently, and then as female, you're gonna hear things differently. Okay. Again, is this 100% all male? And no, we're not saying that. Okay, but we're saying majority are like that. Let's keep going. To go back to the anniversary couple, the card wasn't really the issue. The real issue was that the wife felt unloved and responded the only way she knew how, by getting in her husband's face and telling him off. With her pink sunglasses and hearing aids firmly in place, she wanted him to be genuinely sorry. Not defensive, but asking forgiveness. Then they could have just gone out for a nice dinner. Okay, and that's why, again, she was so upset and she wanted to show that emotion, saying I don't feel loved by you. And that's why she came across so strong. And she thought, okay, that would make him realize how much sorry he should be and apologize to me. Make me feel love again. And then they could just go off nicely on their dinner. But that didn't happen, okay? Because, why? Because that's not what he heard. And that's not what he saw. Okay, what did he see then?
But his blue sunglasses and hearing aid wouldn't let that happen. His real issue, which he probably couldn't even verbalize, is that he felt disrespected. He would show her, and so two essentially good-willed people wound up spinning on the crazy cycle with no clue about how to slow it down or stop it.
And that's the interesting part, right? Both of them, if you think about it, they had good intention. Right? The husband didn't go in and say, "Oh, how can I show her that I don't love her?" Right? His goal going in was, I want to show her I love her. I want to show her that I care about her. I want to show her that I do, But what happened? Because, again, the communication issue, because of their different glasses and different hearing aid, they didn't receive what they really wanted. Okay, let's keep going with this idea.
I want to underline that this happens all the time with couples who actually have good intentions. Most husbands and wives who are on the crazy cycle have basic goodwill toward one another, but they just don't know how to express it. And so the crazy cycle eventually spins many of them right into separation and divorce.
Okay.
I've had couples fighting with one another in my office, and I've said, time out. Sir, let me ask you something. Does your wife have basic goodwill toward you and others? Would you entrust the children to her? He responds, oh, absolutely. Then I ask the wife the same thing, and she answered the same as the husband. I respond by saying, then what is going on with you two? How can two goodwill people treat one another this way?
Okay, so again, it seems like they both understand that they're not trying to destroy each other, but why is it that they're like fighting? Keep going.
As I have tried to explain to many couples over the years, a major part of the answer is learning how to decode each other's messages. Whenever a wife is complaining, criticizing, or crying, she is sending her encoded message, I want your love. And whenever a husband is speaking harshly or sometimes not speaking at all, he is sending his encoded message, I want your respect.
Okay. What do you guys think? Okay, let's go back to our groups. Do you agree, disagree so far with what it said? Go for it.
In general, over millions and millions and tens of millions over the world.
That's like a good one that you can just ask yourself immediately to be like on the same page.
It makes
To
sense.
come to a.
I would say it makes sense.
There's probably like, I view everything like big broad assumptions of like,
I know in general, I have like, not just
there's still a
context of
population of
relationships.
people that
I tend to speak
men
out
feel that
harshly
certain
when I
level
should,
and feel
when I feel that I'm not being respected.
and then it like goes out, and then if you look at the skew,
And so I can
in
identify
general,
with
more
that.
women would
I know that that's something I have to
need to respect, but there's still.
intentionally
But it's just
control.
So,
You gotta hold it there before you say it.
I have to think before I talk.
Yeah.
Because otherwise something harsh will come out.
Yeah.
It's not because I don't love the person, but it's because I don't feel respected. But
It's almost like you get punched in one of
If the woman
Yeah.
needs to by her husband,
hormone defense.
he makes her feel
But
like
I fail sometimes I feel that
there's no doubt that she's not
that comes
respected,
across
she feels
I would
loved.
say
People
within the
as
family.
That, I'm saying
Love.
love.
I do love
Yeah,
to
because
go
if I
with
treat
her
women
and
bad,
easily accepted.
I kind of manipulate her to make her feel like she's loved, but I have no respect for her, based on the way
yeah, I
I
mean, like, I think everybody
treat her. Or Amber Heard, which I need that kind of follow.
is a good
Yeah.
person for a certain extent,
Yep,
you know?
that's crazy.
Even people that would
See
be
it a lot.
party to
you think
Johnny
about it
Depp.
this way?
Have you seen it?
Feels
The
like
whole-
Usually I would say something wrong.
My wife was watching that, like, what is wrong with
I just watched highlights.
Okay.
I didn't get too much into it.
That was always my
Just
first
watched
thing.
highlights. Now it comes down to
That's always
communication.
like number one thing.
I like that part where it says, just because you feel that way, it doesn't mean that your spouse is standing that way.
Within our relationship, I feel like there's a lot of miscommunication that happens. So we
Also,
also talked about everything, we talk it
When I
all.
was
Knowledge
growing
and
up, my father said
information
to me the best
And
thing
just like, I think like.
Spending time
the
watching
way
movies
people
is not a
treat
great
each
time.
other.
We've talked about
Like,
it.
it's like, oh, did he say that? So
That's
like,
like-
does he actually have that?
Why
Is
is
that
that
you?
Or
Or
sit
is
there
it
and
not?
just like watch
So
it.
I feel like
Me at
just
this house.
Because all you're doing is
Yeah.
existing together in the same place.
pretty much.
It's not really, so just It's very good.
What are your of the life tips of marriage?
Yeah, we have
Don't,
to
if you're feeling like you want to say something, don't do
Not
it.
essentially over, no, but like.
Wait
I
like
Once in a while,
5
it's fine.
minutes and I guarantee that.
as a default.
Because like,
Yeah,
Like,
unless you talk about
that's
it.
cheating, isn't it?
But if I'm feeling strongly about
It's
something,
like, I feel like you're still working
and I
on
want to say
it.
something that
Like, even
that I
with
know
without
that
it,
I'm gonna do
it
this,
or whatever,
and I
it
would want to
may
say
be
more
the
but
case,
like,
but until you
so-
ask them directly, like what you
Over-
would like,
overboard.
it's
like we should
you don't get
organize
to a
this. Anyway,
resolution.
but I will just, I will like not say, I've gotten disciplined where I just don't say it, and then I just say, none of this matters.
Then like in romantic relationships,
And it like,
That's cool, though, you have that boundary.
Yeah.
or like,
Yeah,
Because I
and
mean,
don't
part of
fight,
that
but
too
it
is
feels
because
like a
you
debate
care
or
about that relationship.
difference of
It's
opinion.
like more of a priority.
And you were not
So
like
easy
this
to
from
be
the
like,
beginning.
oh, this
You
is
learned it
Not
and.
always should roll with it, but
That's pretty much all you do.
you have to learn how to coexist with someone, so levels of organization, like keeping the house in order. That's my main thing, little OCD, but
That's
I've
what
learned
some,
over years
that's
to
what
say
some
this
girls
to
just have
myself.
friendships.
Don't say it.
Yeah.
Like they're just
It's
trying to make
therapist would say
friends.
you just.
Yeah, but you know, that's, I never really got it, like,
You just
oh, I
want-
don't want a relationship with you because I want to preserve my
Waiting.
friendship.
I think people
I started
are
understanding that, because
just
just like,
they can't
once it
control
goes to that romantic level, there's no turning back.
and then if you end up in
That
something
relationship
like that,
is over, you got it done.
really,
No more regrets.
and then you're like, which never happened. My wife was waiting to kill her. I've seen it with
It's like.
You're not.
Yeah, because like, I don't know, like, in the end, the person, like, I don't know, I always have the same feeling.
All right, let's come back together. Let's finish up. This will be our last 2 slides. Whose turn is it to read?
Bonita.
Juanita? Okay.
I have often been asked, how can you be so sure the wife primarily needs to feel love and the husband primarily needs to feel respect?
Okay, so how do we know if this is actually real or not?
My answer comes in 2 parts. First of all, my experience as a counselor and as a husband confirms it's true. The wife is the one who asks, does my husband love me as much as I love him? She knows she loves him, but she wonders at times if he loves her nearly as much. So when he comes across as unloving, she typically reacts in a negative way. In her opinion, he needs to change into a more sensitive and caring man. Unfortunately, a wife's usual approach is to complain and criticize in order to motivate her husband to become more loving. This is quite unsuccessful.
Right. So the woman actually, they try to, they think, oh, if I complain, if I criticize him, then like he'll be motivated. But the men, they're like, no, that's disrespectful. How dare you respect? How dare you disrespect me like that? Okay. Okay, so that doesn't work. Okay, let's see. Let's keep going. Sophia,
On the
yeah.
other hand, a husband does not commonly ask, does my wife love me as much as I love her? Why not? Because he's assured of her love. I often ask husbands, does your wife love you? They reply, yes, of course. But then I ask, does she like you? And the answer usually comes back in many cases, the wife's dislike is interrupted by the husband as disrespect and even contempt. In his opinion, she has changed from being the admiring, ever-approving woman she was when they courted. Now she doesn't approve. So the husband decides he will motivate his wife to become more respectfully by acting in unloving ways.
Which is also stupid too. Okay. But again, the guy thinks, okay, if I disrespect her, okay, or if I don't, I will motivate her by becoming in unloving ways. Okay, then maybe she'll respect me more. Okay, but again, it doesn't work because what we need is different from men, male and female. Okay, and then I hear this quite a bit. I don't know if you guys agree, but like the guys are always like right here, this admiring. Like, oh, when we were dating, she used to admire me. And she used to approve of the things that I would do. You know, but after we got married, she's always complaining. She's always criticizing. And the opposite, the woman, they always go, oh, he used to do so much for me. Like, he used to like bring me flowers. He used to be so thoughtful. and now all he does is like sit on the couch and like just does nothing. Okay? So again, then if that is true, then it's this idea of like, I want to be cherished, I want to be loved. And then for the man, it's like, I want to be respected. I want to get your approval from you, kind of a thing.
Maybe like retirement or working never ends,
Mhm.
even in retirement.
Uh-huh.
And maybe that's a lesson parallel here is like doing those things, courting and admiring.
Yeah,
never ends. Like you
yeah.
have to keep working.
Exactly.
It never ends.
Yeah, we got to keep
And
doing that.
that's success
Yeah.
of a relationship.
That's very true. And that's what we're going to get to is our next chapters. We're going to get into, okay, how do we then better love? How do we better respect? Okay? And some of you guys might disagree with this whole concept that this is gender thing. Maybe you think it's individualized. That's fine if you want to think like that. Then you could still learn to better love or better respect somebody else. Okay? So that's what we're going to go into. Let's keep going. And this will be our last slide. Kevin?
Even more convincing is what Ephesians 5:33 teaches about the woman's primary need for love and a man's primary need for respect. The husband must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. Could it be any clearer than that? Paul isn't making any suggestions. He is issuing commands from God himself.
Okay, so he's saying, number one, he believes this is true because when he's a counselor and he sees this problem all the time, number one. And second thing is, he says the Bible actually tells us, okay? It doesn't tell women to love their husbands. It tells them to respect. And it doesn't tell husbands to respect their wives, but to love. So there must have been a reason why Paul put it like that. Okay, let's keep going.
Paul also isn't saying we need to love and respect each other because they've earned it. They are to treat each other because that's the way God has treated them. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her.
This is going to be, I think, hopefully the biggest lesson, hopefully, that you guys get out of it. Okay? Because a lot of times what happens is in the crazy cycle, we go, okay, for example, I'll love her if she respects me. Does that make sense? So basically the idea is I'll love her if she is lovable. And then the female, you guys are probably saying, I'll respect him if he does things that are respectable. Okay? But the command, the Bible verse is not, okay, it's not love them because they're lovable or respect them because they're respectable. Okay, because if you wait for that, that's not going to happen a lot of times. Because a lot of times we're sinners and we do things that are not very loving nor respectable. Okay, instead the principle is what? Love as though you have been loved by somebody else, which is God. Respect others the way you have been respected by God. That's the concept. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go back.
Therefore, a husband is to obey the command to love, even if his wife does not obey this command to respect. And a wife is to obey the command to respect, even if the husband does not obey the command to love. A husband is even called to love a disrespectful wife, and a wife is called to respect an unloving husband. There is no justification for a husband to say, I will love my wife after she respects me, nor for a wife to say, I will respect my husband after he loves me.
Okay. Our last one.
This is impossible for us, but this impossibility shows us how much God loved and respected us. We are not lovable or respectable. However, God still chose to love and respect us by dying for us, and with that, we can be loved and respected. God hasn't commanded you to do something that you haven't received yet. The principle is this: love and respect others as much as God has loved and respected you.
Yeah, so, sorry, God isn't commanding you to do something that you haven't received. Not you have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
God isn't commanding you to do something that you haven't received yourself.
Yeah, get tripped up.
Okay? So the principle is love and respect others as much as God has loved and respected you. Okay? Because again, our thinking is I'm only going to love them if they love me. I'm only going to respect them if they respect me. And that's why a lot of our relationship is not very healthy a lot of times. Because we're waiting. Okay? But, that's very difficult. Instead, if you're receiving love and respect from God, then you can say, okay, not because they're lovable, not because they're respectable, but I've received that from God. And so I want to do to others as well. All right, let's go into our review and some questions, and then we'll finish. Go for it.